see. Okay, notice has gone out, and we will chant. Okay, let's start chanting. Let me get my guitar, and then we can chant. All right. We Vaishnava Thakur Garsangare Say Karuna Kori We Vaishnava Thakur Garsangare Say Karuna Pada Jaya Yoga Maya Numarakcharana Jari Diya Pada Jaya Yoga Maya Numarakcharana Jari Jaiva Dharma, Dosha Shoni, Jaiva Dharma, Jaiva Dharma, Dosha Shoni, Satsanga Devo Amare Moksha Chisangera Jaya Satsanga Devo Amare Moksha Chisangera Amara Apoimono Varinam Sankirtane Ekaki Amara Apoimono Varinam Sankirtane Tumi Kripa Kari Shata Venudiya Deha Krishna Nama Tumi Kripa Kari Shata Venudiya Deha Krishna Nama Krishna said, Umaro, Shakti Dipalo, Rajakateya. Kandala Krishna Krishna Bole Nayatava Pache Jai Amito Kandala Krishna Krishna Bole Nayatava Pache Vaishnava Kora Daryarasada Aise Prabhupada 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 Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Paravatikacharya All Sutteta Satashi Shimad His Divine Grace Abhaya Charanada Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai ISKCON Founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Anandakoti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Shilahila Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shiva Siddhi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Sayam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavanam Ki Jai Mathuram Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Yamunamai Ki Jai Shrimati Lasi Devi Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Jinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gaurvani Pacharni Nevashesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deja Tarini. Let me read the translation. O Venerable Vaishnava, O Ocean of Mercy, be merciful unto your servant. Give me the shade of your lotus feet and purify me. I hold on to your lotus feet. Teach me to control my 6 passions, rectify my 6 faults, bestow upon me the 6 qualities, and offer unto me the 6 kinds of holy association. I do not find the strength to carry on alone the Sankirtan of the holy name of Hari. Please bless me by giving me just 1 drop of faith with which to obtain the great treasure of the holy name of Krishna. Krishna is yours. You have the power to give him to me. I'm simply running behind you shouting, what? Krishna, Krishna. Okay, Krishna, Krishna. So, on that happy note, we're going to continue reading from the Jaiva Dharma, but before that I just want to mention one thing. And what did I want to mention? I wanted to mention that today we are celebrating, commemorating the disappearance day of Baladev Vijayabhushan and the appearance day of Ganga Mata Goswamini. And so, okay, as far as Goswami, as far as Baladev Vijayabhushan, he's known as the Vedanta Acharya. He is the one who wrote the Govinda Bhasha, being dictated by, that is, Govinda, the deity of Govinda, in Jaipur, when he was having a philosophical argument with the Ramanandis, and he's a direct follower of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So, we spoke about him extensively this morning in class, and if you're interested to hear more about him, you can consult my class from this morning, which was done this morning or done last night, as far as you're concerned, if you're in Australia or New Zealand. And it's on YouTube. And it's also, I should label it as we're talking. Let me just, I should just label it so you will be able to find it. And it's also on my Facebook page, the most recent video on my Facebook page. Okay, you'll be able to hear about Baladev Vidyabhushan. Also, today is the appearance day, as I mentioned before, of Ganga Mata Goswamini. So, Ganga Mata Goswamini, give me a second, I'm just going to label my class from this morning. So you'll be able to hear about Baladev Vidyabhushan, Baladeva Vidyabhushana, and Ganga Mata Goswamini. So now it's labeled in YouTube, which I just did, by my mercy. So anyway, so as far as Ganga Mata Goswamini is concerned, she was originally a princess who became very attached to Krishna, and she walked all the way across India from Bengal all the way to Vrindavan, and she wandered in Vrindavan. She accepted Krishna as her husband, wandered in Vrindavan for like 25 years. And after that went to Jagannath Puri, and for her to be able to take a bath in the Ganges itself came to Jagannath Puri and overflooded and washed her into the temple of Lord Jagannath. Later on she was arrested because they thought she was going to steal the jewels as she was washed into the temple in the middle of the night of Lord Jagannath. And then the king had a dream, and Lord Jagannath chastised him and said, you better take initiation from her. So she initiated the king of Jagannath Puri as well as many other personalities. She was a great acharya in our sampradaya. How about that? Ganga Mata Goswamini. She's in our sampradaya because she took shelter of those devotees who were connected with our sampradaya. So she's part of our Gaudiya Vaishnava sampradaya. Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. So anyway, so read about her and hear about her. If you're interested in hearing the class, go on to Facebook and check my classes out. The latest one, which is on Ganga Mata Goswamini and Baladev Vidyabhushan. You'll find it quite interesting. Okay, so with that in mind, we're going to go on to our reading of the Jaiva Dharma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And we are progressing very quickly through the Jaiva Dharma, so without further ado, Om Ganat Timanandasha Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmiditam Yena Tasmai Shigaroi Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master, His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who so kindly opened my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge while I was blinded in the darkness of ignorance. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we're going to share the screen. And here we go. Where is that screen? Hold on a second. Okay. Let's go back there. There we go. There the screen is. Chapter 14. Ecstatico. And this is about the Shaktis of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, chapter 14 is entitled Prameya. The Lord is endowed with Shaktis. So the word Prameya means that which is to be known, or something you want to know. Okay, Prameya it's called. Let me just check the sound. Make sure the sound's loud enough. It looks like the sound's down a little bit. Make it a little louder so you can all hear me. Oops. Okay, it's a little louder now. Okay, so it's called Prameya. that which is to be known. Of course, the word pramana means evidence. Prameya means that which is to be known. And prayojana means the goal. Got it? The three P's. Pramana, evidence. Prameya, that which is to be known. And prayojana, the goal of Krishna consciousness, the goal of human life. Okay. And Prameya, the Lord, is endowed with Shaktis. Shaktis means his energies, his potencies, who are all persons. So each and every Shakti, of course, the original Shakti, or energy of the Lord, is Radharani. Therefore, a name of Radharani is Adi Shakti. Adi means the original, and Shakti means the original energy of the Lord. Okay, Prameya, the Lord is endowed with Shaktis. Considering what he had heard from the old Babaji the previous night, Brajanath was greatly pleased. So this is a conversation between Brajanath and the Babaji. Babaji means someone who is completely renounced from this world and just absorbed in Krishna consciousness. Usually Babaji stays in one place, or they may travel a little bit, but not so much preaching. Brajanath was greatly pleased. He thought, Gauranga's teachings are amazing. Hearing them, my heart has become full of nectar. What I've heard from Babaji has increased my thirst. No part of the conclusion is disharmonious. It appears to be the correct meaning of scriptures. I cannot understand why I heard criticism of this among the Brahmanas. It appears that the reason is that the Brahmanas have accepted the wrong conclusion because of favoring Mayavad. So Brahmanas, of course, means the ritualistic Brahmanas in this context, and Mayavad means to think that the Lord and all of his paraphernalia and pastimes is mundane. And there's different varieties of Mayavad or Mayavadi philosophy. Thinking in this way, at the appointed time, Brajanath arrived at the Kutira, means where the Babaji lived, and then, seeing Babaji, offered respects. It's obeisances, for those of you who don't know. Babaji embraced him in great bliss and had him sit near him. With excitement, Brajanath said, Prabhu, I want to hear the third verse of the Dasha Mula. Please tell me. Because again, the Dasha Mula means the 10 roots or the 10 basic principles of Krishna consciousness. Got it? Got it? That's important. And the first principle is that the Vedic literatures give us the truth. That's our pramana. The first is the pramana. So Babaji, his hair standing on end, began to speak. Now, why were the hairs of the Babaji standing on end? Was he scared of Brajanath? No. Because a pure devotee, when he speaks about Krishna or Krishna's philosophy, which comes from Krishna, there's Krishna's words, he's in ecstasy. Those who are not so pure, they like to hear certain things about Krishna, particularly the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, but are not so interested in hearing Bhagavad Gita philosophy. But someone who loves Krishna will love everything Krishna does, or everything Krishna says, or anything related to Krishna, puts them in ecstasy. And that's one of the symptoms of ecstasy. The little hairs all over the body stand on end. So, here's the verse, the third verse of the Dashamula. Harakyaya shatera pritag apisa svai mahimahi himani stito jivakyam swamachid arihitam tam shri padikam swatantrecha shaktim sakala vishaye preranay puro Avikaradhyay shunya paramba Purushoyam Vichayate. Though he is non-different from his supreme Achintya Shakti, Krishna is independent in his desire, eternally situated in his own glory. He inspires his Shaktis, called Jiva Shakti, Chit Shakti, and Maya Shakti, for managing all affairs. As the Supreme Lord, he eternally remains devoid of any transformation. Now this is interesting. Previously, if you remember, we talked about tattvas, and we said there's the jiva is the tattva, the spiritual energy is a tattva, and the material energy is a tattva. In some descriptions, you find the material energy and the spiritual energy combined as one in terms of the definition of what is a tattva. Tattva means something that, a category of something that always exists. Okay. Eternal. Krishna's energy is eternal. Krishna's eternal. We as individual souls are eternal. Okay? So you got these Shaktis who in one sense, let's go through this paragraph, are non-different from him. But in another sense, they are different. Remember, that was the Chincha Veda Veda Tattva philosophy. Just like the sunshine, an old example, is non-different from the sun, but it also has a specific identity, but it's dependent on the sun. Okay, it's part of the activities of the sun. So these Shaktis, the Jiva Shakti, Chit Shakti, Maya Shakti, they are actually followers of Krishna. They're always serving Krishna. So you may say, okay, I'm Jiva Shakti, and I am not me, you. Speaking on your behalf, so I'm not always serving Krishna. And I will say, yes, you are always serving Krishna. Huh? Just like a person in a prison house is always serving the government. Hopefully. If it's a strict prison house. And a person who is free is serving the government by paying its taxes. So, either we're serving Krishna involuntarily or we're serving Krishna voluntarily. So we're actually always under the control of Krishna. And we do have our free will. We can choose the voluntary service or the involuntary service. That's our free will. Boss. That's it. So the Brahma, here he goes. And another statement here is the Supreme Lord, he eternally remains devoid of any transformation. In other words, Krishna never becomes transformed in any way. He always maintains his original nature. Whereas the Shaktis, they become, in one sense, transformed because, let's say, not really transformed, but they become transformed just like we become transformed when we're in Maya and are attached to a body, so there's some apparent transformation with us. And even the internal energy transforms herself in different ways to serve Krishna. But Krishna doesn't transform himself at all. He acts in different guises, incarnations, avatars, but there's no transformation. The Brahmanas say that the Supreme Tattva is without Shakti as Brahman and with Shakti as Ishvara. That's interesting. Is this the conclusion of the Vedas? This is bogus philosophy here. So, the Supreme Tattva, of course, Krishna, is when he's always spiritual and he always has Shakti. And anyway, in all cases, he has Shakti. Babaji said, Shakti is present in all situations of the Supreme Tattva. This is what I just said. Supreme Tattva is Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he always has his Shaktis. And he's never in a state of illusion. But wherever Krishna appears, his Shaktis appear with him. The Vedas say, Natasha Karyam Karanam cha vidyate, latat samas cha ya ikas cha drishyate, parasya shakti vividaya vashuyate swabhavaki jnana pala kriyacha. He has no body and no senses, no one is equal to him or higher. His supreme power is manifold. He has knowledge, strength, and action. Svetashvata Upanishad. So this is 6.8, of course. So this is a description of the supreme personality of Godhead. He has no material body. Natasha Karyam Karanam Javidyate. In other words, there's no cause of him. So the Chit Shakti, spiritual Shakti, spiritual energy is described. Te jana yoganu gata abhasham devata shaktim swagunhani gudam yakkamanani nikalani tani kalatma yuktanyari tishtacheka. Due to meditation, they say, they saw the Shakti of the Lord hidden in his gunas. The one Lord presides over all causes under time. Svetashvata Upanishad 1.3. What does that mean? So the sages, when they meditate, they were able to see all the Shaktis of the Lord, the energies of the Lord, that were hidden by the qualities. Here gunas means quality, or it can mean modes of nature. So when they're devoted to meditation, they can overcome the modes of nature and see the energies of the Lord directly. The Lord presides over all causes under time. In other words, anything that's caused or anything that's part of the chain of cause and effect is originally put into that chain by the Supreme Lord, who's the cause of all causes. Sarvakarna Karnam. The Jiva Shakti is described. That's us. Okay? Ready for it? Ahamekam lohita sukla krishnam bhavi praja shijjamanam sarupa ajoyeko jushamano nushete jahatyenam mukta bhogam ajonya. Uh-oh. Okay, I'm going to have to stop everybody from using your drawing skills. Someone got too intelligent here and started to write on my screen, and I am going to have to disable annotation for others. Okay? Did it. Okay. Alright. So, one jiva serves many unborn prakriti, which is red, white, and black, which creates many forms similar to this. Another jiva, having enjoyed, gives up prakriti. Shvetashvata Upanishad 4.5. What does that mean? Okay, red, white, and black refers to the three modes of nature: goodness, passion, and ignorance. White is goodness, red is passion, and white is goodness, and black is ignorance. So one jiva serves the unborn prakriti, which is basically associated with those particular colors. And which creates many forms similar to it. So the jiva creates many forms out of his imagination, or many bodies from one lifetime to another. Another jiva, having enjoyed, that means someone who understands you can't enjoy in this world, he gives up prakriti. Hopefully that should be us. Okay, that's the jiva. So Maya Shakti, the Jiva Shakti. So Maya Shakti is the next one, is described. Maya means the material illusion Shakti. Chandamsi yagya kratavo vatani Utam bhavyam yatcha vedavatanti asman mahishvijate vishwametat tasmims chanyo mayaya sanniruda. The Lord, the controller of Maya, let me just eliminate that thing. The controller of Maya creates this universe, including the Vedic meters, sacrifices, worships, vows, everything of the past and future which the Vedas describe. The jiva is bound up in this universe by Maya. Maya, in this context, that's from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad 4:9. Maya, in this particular context, refers to the material energy. So everything within the material energy, the good, the bad things, bind us. So here we get into more terminology, which will take a while to describe. Purusha Shaktir, or Shakti, refers to one chief Shakti in the highest state of the Supreme Tattva. What does that mean? Purusha, para, high, transcendental, is Parashakti, or Parasha Shakti, means there's one Shakti who, or which, or who also, is transcendental, but that Shakti expands as all the other Shaktis that are not transcendental. In other words, the Adi Shakti, who is Radharani, expands as the other gopis, who expand as the wives of Krishna in Dwarka, who expand as the Lakshmis in the spiritual world, and eventually come expansion, expansion, expansion. You get to the point of Durga. Okay? So Krishna is always there with the Shaktis, whether we're talking about the material world or the spiritual world. The state of having no Shakti is nowhere described. In other words, Krishna always has his Shaktis with him. Manifesting with qualities, he is Bhagawan, and manifesting without qualities, he is Brahman. So in this particular case, the Brahman being described here is the Brahmajyoti, or the effulgence of the Lord, which is when Krishna manifests as his effulgence, then, like the sun, if the sun manifests as his sunshine, it's without differentiation, without specific qualities. I mean, there is a quality of the sunshine. In the same way there is a quality of Brahman, which is, very bright and powerful. But there's no differentiation. It's undifferentiated. It's monolithic, as we say. Anyway. The Parashakti, that's transcendental, manifests the quality of no quality. Nirvishesha. No variety. That's what it means. Vishesha means variety. So, Nirvishesha. You hear this word a lot in Prabhupada's Pranam mantra. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarni. Everybody remembers that? Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravadi Pacharni. Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Dejatarni. It describes that Prabhupada came to the Western world to deal with improper philosophy, such as the Nirvishesha philosophy. So, someone who is a Nirvishesha person, or a Nirvisheshi, to be precise, believes that God has no qualities. We also say that there is an aspect of the Absolute that has no qualities. That's the Brahman. That's what's described in the next sentence. There's the Shakti involved, even in Brahman who has no qualities. So Brahman has Shakti also. That's the effulgence of God, which has no Shaktis, no qualities, no differentiation. Nirvishesha, that's the precise word. No differentiation, it's all monolithic. Monolith means it's always the same. That chief Shakti, the head Shakti, is called the Parashakti, Swarupa Shakti, or Chit Shakti in various places. Para means transcendental. It's all the same thing. If we say Parashakti, Swarup Shakti, or Chit Shakti, it's all the same thing. Para means transcendental energy. Swarupa means Shakti, means the form, is Shakti of him as in his original form. Chit Shakti means spiritual Shakti. You know, Sat Chit. And it also can mean full knowledge Shakti. But in this particular case, it means spiritual. A Brahman with no Shakti is just an appearance. In other words, if you say that Brahman has no Shakti, that's your opinion, but it's wrong. It appears like that, but the Brahman does have some Shakti, even though it's undifferentiated, which is nirvishesha. If that makes sense. It is something imagined by the Mayavadis. Brahman without qualities beyond the Mayavad concept. So even the Brahman effulgence of the Lord is not understandable by those who are Mayavadis. That's really what's being said here. They can't conceive of it. The Vedas describe Brahman with and without qualities. Okay. This is really technical here. Ya eko varno bahuda shakti yogat. Varna nekan nehi tarto tethati. He is one entity with his purpose, manifests many types through his many shaktis. Straight to Shvatara 4:1. So, in other words, in this case, Brahman with qualities is God. Brahman without quality is the undifferentiated Brahman effulgence. He who is one entity with his purpose manifests many types through his many shaktis. We said that. So, Ya Eko Jalavan Ishata Ishani Bhi Sarva Lokani Ishata Ishani Bhi. The one Lord in possession of the net of Maya, or illusion at this particular case, rules by his shaktis. In other words, controls everything by his energies. He rules over all planets by his shaktis. That's from the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. In other words, Krishna, Natasya Karyam Karanam Javidyate, Krishna doesn't have to do anything. He has his energies that do all this management and ruling and all that other business. So Krishna is free to engage in loving exchanges. Like if everything was taken care of, for example, if I were to have enough assistance other than my 2 arms, 2 legs, and 1 limited brain, then I wouldn't have to do anything. I could just preach all day long. But I have to juggle so many things. You know, I get letters from so many different temples and disciples. Guru Maharaj, should I do this or should I do that? Guru Maharaj, what should I do with my life? It's fine. I don't mind doing that. But anyway, so I get all these different letters from people. And so many things to juggle and so many manage things. Letters from temples that I have some responsibility with. Letters from the GBC saying you got to do this, you got to do that. And so, because I have all these things to do, therefore, and I don't have too many shaktis, it's like someone wrote me a letter the other day. They said, we'd like to put your website together nicely. So can you please give us the email address of your servant? Your servant? And I said, you're speaking to him. It is thus seen that the supreme tattva again means the supreme truth, the supreme category of energy, Krishna, or the Jiva soul, is never, in other words, Supreme Tattva is never without Shakti. Krishna is never without his energies. Even if he manifests as the undifferentiated Brahman, or the Brahman effulgence, or Brahmajyoti, or whatever you may call it, always has his potencies with him. It is always self-manifesting. In other words, the supreme absolute truth, whether we're talking about Brahman, Paramatma, or Bhagavan, doesn't need something or someone else to manifest himself. He's self-manifesting. He's independent, Swara. That this self-manifesting Shakti is eternally of three types is described in the following way. So remember, it's the same point that has been made several times here. Three types of Shaktis. There's many verses that illustrate this point, and we've quoted a few of them. But here's another quote from another verse that illustrates this point from the Upanishads. Sa Vishvakrid Vishvavid Atmayoni Ya Kala Kalo Guni Sarvavidya Pradana Kshetrajna Patir Gunesha Samsara Moksha Stiti Bandhahitu. The Lord is the creator of the universe and knows the universe. He is within the jiva. Krishna is in our hearts. He is omniscient, the controller of time. That means omnipresent, omniscient, endowed with all good qualities. He produces all knowledge. He knows everything. The Lord is the master of Pradhan and the Jiva. Pradhan means the material energy, basically. He is the Lord of the gunas. Gunas mean what? The three modes of nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, which are controlling us. He is the cause of bondage in the world, living in the world, and liberation from it. He's the cause of everything. So, Svetasvatara Upanishad 6:16. So why do we have to do everything? The Krishna is the cause of everything and supplying everything since time immemorial. Why don't we just relax, Prabhu, and not do anything? And you don't blame me for being lazy, a lazy bum, because Krishna is the cause of me being a lazy bum. Right? He's to blame for everything. He's to blame for my inadequacies. He's to blame for my mistakes. He's to blame for this and this and that. Just leave me alone, Prabhuji. No. Krishna is also the cause of giving you the ability to make choices. So, Krishna is, because he's the cause of your making choices too. Of course, of your ability to make choices. He's the cause of your free will. So Krishna chooses what he causes to occur. And he doesn't choose to control your destiny. So in that sense, he's not the cause of your destiny. You are the architect of your life. Describing the three, so don't blame Krishna. I say all you guys are blaming girls, are blaming Krishna for so many things. Don't blame. In describing the three Shaktis, the material world, the spiritual realm, and the Jiva soul, the three Shaktis, the word Pradhana means Maya Shakti, which I described before. Maya means the material illusion, the Shakti or energy of the material illusion. Kshetrajya means the Jiva Shakti. Kshetra means the place. Ya means the knower. So we're the knower of the place, which is the body. So that's an important terminology, which comes from the Bhagavad Gita, from the chapter Nature of the Enjoyer and Consciousness. So Kshetrajna means to actually know the body, to know, not simply to know what's happening with the body, but to know from whom the body comes, what it's composed of, that's what it means to know the body, or what the body is doing at this particular point. So that's the Jiva Shakti. That's us. We're the Kshetragya. And Kshetragya Pati means the Chit Shakti, the internal spiritual potency. Kshetragya means the Jiva. Kshetragya Pati means the Chit Shakti, the spiritual potency. So also, Krishna could also be known as Kshetragya Pati. That Brahman is without Shakti and Ishvara is Brahman with Shakti is a Mayavada idea. Because, in other words, Brahman always has Shakti, whether Brahman is in the Nirvishesha state, the unmanifest state, in the undifferentiated state, or whether Brahman is in the personal state as Krishna. There's always Shaktis or energies connected. Really technical here. Actually, the Lord has all Shaktis at all times. Parasha Shaktiya Vividaya Shriyate Swabhavaki Jnana Balakariyacha. All Shaktis are controlled and they're all first-class servants of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the position of his greatness. He always has his potencies and they're all first-class servants who do whatever Krishna wants whenever he wants. This is the position of Krishna's greatness and there's the word sarupa, his form, his nature. That's Krishna's nature. He always has all of his potencies. In this position, he is the supreme person. Though he is endowed with Shakti, he's independent. Even though he has all these Shaktis, he's not dependent on the Shaktis. Because he can produce more. If, theoretically, one of the Shaktis said, we're not cooperating, we're going on strike. No problem. Krishna's independent. No problem. I remember years ago, the airport, what do you call it? Anyway, the people who control the planes in the air, forget the technical word, the controllers who control where the plane is, what runway it's going to take and everything like that, they went on strike. So what did the government do? Government fired them all and hired a whole new bunch. And he wouldn't let the old guys come back. So in that sense, the government acted independently. We are not dependent on you rascals who are acting not only independently, but irresponsibly. So Krishna is not dependent on his Shaktis, which is a really important point. Because he can do everything himself just by willing. That's his Icha Shakti. Icha Shakti means his ability or his energy of being able to do whatever he wants, his will Shakti. Anyway, very technical, but if you understand this, it'll help you in presenting Krishna consciousness. It's pretty technical here. Okay, thank you for continuing to follow this in spite of this difficult explanation. So now we'll stop sharing, and we have 8 more minutes in which we can take questions, if you like. And I'm going to allow you to unmute yourselves. Hold on a second. You are technically allowed to unmute yourselves if you really want to do so. And take your chances. And so, who has a question? I know it's really technical. It's going to be hard for you to ask questions about this. But these are important points, and so just bear with us as we go through these points. If you have any questions, raise your hand. Type in the text window, or in the meeting chat, as they say, or just unmute yourself and ask a question. This is a hard one to come up with questions. So ask questions about anything in Krishna consciousness you want to ask questions about. How about that? Everything you wanted to know but were afraid to ask at this point. If you don't have a question about this specific topic. So, anyone have any questions? Just ask, Gopal. You can ask about anything you want to ask about in Krishna consciousness. Okay. So, Sam, you have a question.
Hi, Krishna. My question is kind of different. I mean, what I would like to ask, there's one God, so Krishna, in Krishna consciousness, we don't meet or anything like that, but the same God, the other religions that I read, like biblical stories of God Himself asking for meat sacrifice, which is kind of strange. I even read a story where God had, I think maybe Abraham or one of them asked to sacrifice his son. But if there's one God and God is Krishna, why on one side of the world he's like no meat eaten, on the next side it's okay to eat meat? And even sacrifices never meat to me. I don't know where it's at.
Your voice is a little unclear, but I think you are asking about meat eating. Certain religions permit meat eating, and other religions don't. Is that the question?
Oh, I'm sorry, Prabhu.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, what I'm saying is that there's one God and Krishna. In Krishna consciousness, we don't eat meat, we eat prashadam. But then I've read like the Bible stories of God being in favor of meat offering to him. And there's even a story where he asked Abraham or one of the prophets to sacrifice his son. I think which one is Isaac.
Yeah, I know that story. That's
Yeah.
Abraham.
So then my thing is that there's one God, but on one side of the world he's like in favor of meat eating, and on the other side of the world he's like, please have a little compassion. That's the
Yeah.
question. So how will
Well,
you
the story let's go through the story about Abraham sacrificing his son. That was done as a test, and he never actually killed the son. He was stopped by God. God was just testing to see his devotion. That's one point. And he wasn't going to eat the son either. So let's clear that one up. If you know that story, God said, don't do it. I was just testing you. So, and then as far as eating meat, in certain places in the world where there's no vegetables, then meat eating can be accepted because the law of survival, like let's say you have the great Christian religion, Jewish religion to a certain extent, and the Muslim religion, they're all from the same part of the world, and a large part of that part of the world uh, filled with deserts, and deserts are going to be not too many vegetables growing, and so therefore, under certain circumstances, a Vaishnava can eat meat. Like let's say if we were sent to the South Pole to preach Krishna consciousness, and somehow there weren't any vegetables there. I don't think any vegetables grow. But let's say you were sent to and all there were the penguins and the seal. Then you would have to eat meat under certain circumstances. Probably, and that's one explanation. And then another point is that in certain cultures, the meat eating is so ingrained for one reason or other, and people are just so attached, or let's say people are so attached, then there's allowance for eating meat under certain circumstances. But even in the Bible, it says one who kills an ox, which is the same as a cow, male cow, is the same as he who kills a man. That's in the Old Testament. So Prabhupada, I actually was listening to a class where Prabhupada was saying if one is going to eat meat, then go ahead, eat some lower creature like a pig. Yuck. Actually, Muslims don't eat pigs. And Prabhupada even said dog or pig or a chicken, murgi, or eat a chicken, but don't eat a cow. So there's different stages. It's not that we prohibit meat eating absolutely, But we say that if one can't give up meat eating, at least don't eat a cow. And even higher than that is becoming a vegetarian, and even higher than that is offering all your food to Krishna. So, if one can't do one thing, at least they should make some restriction. And so you may find some allowance in the Bible according to that circumstance, or according to the circumstance that people are in a different part of the world where there was no vegetables or any source of protein or anything like that. I mean, I know the Eskimos, for example, what are they going to eat? They're going to eat a lot of whale, and they eat this whale blubber. They peel off the skin, and they eat the skin with the fat underneath. That keeps them warm in the winter. So, there's certain cultures where there's no alternative. And these different literatures address these different cultures where there's no alternative for one reason or other. And that's one reason, and there's different allowances. Like we have this, for example, like Prabhupada was very merciful. There was one devotee who was carving Lord Jagannath deities, and he was smoking cigarettes at the same time, and Prabhupada saw that, and he was even resting the cigarette package on top of the deity as he was carving the deity, and Prabhupada said, just smoke one less a day. So there's certain times of the Bible or different literatures will promote some intermediate stage. Another point is in the Bible and also in the Quran, you have so many restrictions on meat eating too. In Quran, of course, you have the halal, and in the Bible, the original Jewish literature, you have what's called the laws of kosher, which are from the Leviticus in the Bible. And there's so many restrictions, like in the Jewish religion, you're not allowed to have blood from the meat. It says you can eat the meat or the flesh of an animal, but you're not allowed to have the blood at the same time, which is actually an impossible injunction, because even though they kill the animal and they try to drain all the blood and not leave any blood over, there's always some blood when you're cooking meat. I remember my mother, she used to go to one of these butchers and who were supposedly selling what they call kosher meat or halal meat. And supposedly there's no blood, but I tell you, there was tons of blood when you started cooking it. So it's like a trick. There's trick commandments to try to get people to stop eating meat. So that's a little bit of the explanation. So the question, how do we thank Krishna? By working hard and pleasing him. That's me saying, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, let me do my own thing. By trying to please Krishna. By giving Krishna consciousness to others. Okay, on that happy note, time to end. Thank you for your questions. We'll see everybody tomorrow. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada.